including this casserole. So I'm just going to dice up some of this celery while my butter is melting. And hey, if you have any good Southern recipes, I need to know about them. Don't keep them a secret from me. Love that. Grits and gumbo and all that kind of good stuff. Oh yeah, and for dessert later today, we are going to make just a Southern tradition, a banana pudding, and this one is just amazing. Yum, yum. Makes me hungry just thinking about it. I'm going to do a little bit more celery. A little bit more. Get my onion and my green pepper in here. Finely diced onion. It's going in a casserole. It's not going in a soup or a stew, so we don't want real big chunks. And my pepper. Boy, I was lucky enough a few years ago to spend some time in New Orleans. And, oh, I've been there twice. I went there when the Packers were in the Super Bowl, so that was years ago. And then went a couple of years ago and was there by myself working and decided I was just going to go on my own self-created gumbo tour. So I was just, you know, going to all the little places looking for the best gumbo. I love gumbo. And you know what? There was some great gumbo, and there was some not so great gumbo. Best gumbo I had for sure was at K. Paul's, Paul Prudhomme's restaurant in the Quarter, in, you know, right there, the French Quarter in New Orleans. And I actually had the pleasure of cooking with Paul Prudhomme, nicest man ever. They have no freezers in that restaurant. Everything is fresh. And the gumbo they have been making in the same cast iron, you know, one of those big pans forever and ever and ever. And I suggest if you ever go there, there's a few seats where you can just sit right at the bar and get the gumbo and cornbread. And let me tell you, that's what it's all about for me. None of the fancy stuff. It's just that good home-style Southern cooking. And, oh, my mouth waters just thinking about it. All right, so my onion and my bell pepper and my celery are now in my pan. Smelling wonderful. This is how Paul Prudhomme's gumbo starts too. Yum, yum. And get some garlic in here. Recipe calls for 3 cloves of garlic. Now, I like this casserole because it's something different. You know me. I call myself the queen of casseroles. I think casseroles can really get a bad rap, and there's no reason for it. Today's casseroles and my casseroles, I think, are some of the best food out there. They're a little different from the ones that we grew up on. They're, you know, you don't go to the fridge and take everything that's in there and mix it with cream of something soup and call it a casserole anymore. These days, we kind of plan a little ahead and make them a little bit more gourmet, should I say, although I don't really like that word gourmet because it, you know, tends to, you know, make people be afraid. You can do this. You totally can. But they've just got a lot of flavor, today's casseroles. And what I like about them is that a lot of them are dinner party worthy, you know? So you can actually serve a casserole, they're so good, at a dinner party, and you can get them all done ahead of time. So this casserole you can make the morning that you're having people over, and it's just, as I said, something different. I do some mean, you know, chicken casseroles, my smothered chicken casserole and my tetrazzini and things like that, and some pasta bakes. But I like this casserole recipe because it's different. With the shrimp in here and a little bit of a Cajun flair going on. Not spicy, though. Don't worry about that. This is not a spicy casserole. Everyone will love it, especially if you're into seafood. And it's a great way to serve seafood without spending $1 million on it. I know we're all watching our pennies these days, so you don't need to use a whole ton of seafood when you're doing it in a casserole. All right, how's my onions and celery and pepper going? I'm just going to season it with a little bit of salt and pepper. Just want that to soften up a little. Now I'm going to get my garlic in here. And you know the rule when it comes to using fresh garlic. Fresh garlic can burn in a real hurry, and then your whole dish is ruined. It just takes on a real bitter taste. So once it hits that pan, move it, move it, move it. 30 seconds. And you're going to smell it. And when you're going to start to smell it, you're good. In go my shrimp. This recipe, we're using 2 pounds of peeled, deveined shrimp. We're not using those big huge, wonderful prawns. We can just use the little guys. If you know, 2 pounds isn't in your budget, use a half a pound. Don't have to have a ton of shrimp in this recipe. You can use canned shrimp in this recipe. You could even throw a little bit of canned crab meat in here or imitation crab meat. There's so much stuff going on in this casserole that it's not all about the shrimp. We're going to throw some rice in here. Of course, have a lot of rice down south. So we're going to stretch this casserole. It's going to make a nice big casserole. So don't worry about cutting back on the shrimp if 2 pounds is too much for your budget. Not a big deal for this recipe at all. I want to season this up with some Cajun seasoning. I've got about a tablespoon here. Is that right, Deb? About a tablespoon? You can back off on that. Again, this isn't going to be a real spicy casserole, so don't worry about it. You can just do a teaspoon or so. A lot of that Cajun seasoning isn't real hot. It's just got, you know, a lot of flavor. Garlic. Perfect. That's looking good. I don't want to overcook that shrimp. I'm just going to quick give my hands a wash here because it's going to bake again in my casserole. So looking perfect. All right, let's get to the sauce that's going to hold this all together. Now, the recipe calls for 1 can of cream of shrimp soup. Get that out of there. Looking for my nice long spatula. If you don't have cream of shrimp soup, you can't find cream of shrimp soup, maybe you don't like it, cream of celery or cream of mushroom will work fine too. This is going to kind of bump up the seafood flavor in this. All right, there's that. Thank you, Deb. 1.5 cups of half and half or heavy cream. We're going to go all the way here. We're using some heavy cream. Don't tell anybody. It's just between you and me. No one will know. You know, why not go all out? I've got a few dashes of hot sauce. Again, it's not going to be a real spicy casserole. It's just going to have some flavor. I like to serve the hot sauce on the side. But if you're scared at all about putting that in there, just leave it out. Not a big deal. We've already got the Cajun seasoning. A little bit of wine. That's, you know, one of the things that I do to bump up the flavor in a lot of my casseroles is put a little wine in them. All of a sudden, it takes that canned cream of shrimp soup, and it's, you know, that little bit of wine all of a sudden just makes it just taste wonderful and not so like it's out of the can with the addition of some cream and some wine. And I'm going to take a little bit more of that wine because, you know, why not, right? We're getting southern. I like a real creamy casserole. I don't like a dried out casserole, so I just want to make sure there's lots of liquid, especially because, you know, if you've got a casserole recipe that's got potatoes, noodles, or in this case, rice, it's going to just soak right up that liquid. All right, in goes all that wonderful shrimp and those vegetables. Wow, I am drooling right now. And we don't even have this all together yet. We got some more fun stuff to do. A little bit of lemon juice, fresh lemon juice with the shrimp. Ooh, let's see. That's a tough lemon. Here's a softer one. If you've come across one of those lemons, you know, some of those lemons that you get, especially when you take them right out of the fridge, are just rock hard and they're just not going to release their juice. Throw it in the microwave for 10 seconds. This one, I can tell that juice is going to come right out of there. So I just want to get some lemon juice, either in the skillet or now that I've got it right here on top, just want to get some fresh lemon juice over that shrimp, a little bit more. Lots of flavor in this casserole. I've got some rice. This is just cooked white rice. Don't overcook it. You don't want it mushy. 1.5 to 2 cups. And again, that's why you don't need to use the whole 2 pounds of shrimp, because we're really stretching this. Yum. All right, got a nice big casserole dish. Spray it with cooking spray. We're down south, they grease it with butter. In goes our shrimp. and our rice in that wonderful sauce. You can see why this is company worthy. Serve this with a big salad, maybe a nice Caesar salad, or is Green Goddess a southern recipe? I love Green Goddess recipe. I'm going to make that on the show sometime. I have never made that on the show, but I love that. Yeah, I think that's a southern kind of recipe because it's kind of a cooling, creamy dressing. But that would be wonderful with this salad with some Green Goddess dressing. Deb and I were just talking about that. You don't see Green Goddess dressing much on menus or at the grocery store, and I love it. I love it. I miss Green Goddess. Anybody have a good recipe for Green Goddess dressing? Got to email it to me. All right, you know me. The other thing about a casserole is there's got to be something fun on the top. So this recipe, we're going to do a little bit of grated Parmesan cheese. You could do some shredded cheddar, but I really want this casserole to be about the shrimp and the creaminess and not so much the cheese. But I do like a little bit of a crunch. So I've got some just butter crackers. You've got, you know, those crumbs at the bottom that we're going to crush up. Deb uses a rolling pin. I like to use the meat mallet. I think it's just more fun. So that's going to go right on the top. Just to add some more wonderful buttery flavor and a little bit of crunch to this casserole. This is going to, now you could cover this well and get it into your refrigerator and then, you know, bake it when company's coming or the family wants to eat. You know, it's going to take about an hour in a 350-degree oven. You can also, you know, just bake it right now. And again, preheated 350-degree oven for about 45 to 60 minutes. All right, let me show you what it looks like when it comes out. You could also, if you really wanted to be naughty, we were well behaved this time, drizzle a little bit of melted butter on the top. Oh, Deb. It wasn't quite browning how we were wanting it to, and then it did. Here you go. Oh, look at that. Bubbly and wonderful. You could serve it with a little bit of lemon because we've got seafood in there, a little bit of lemon slices on the top, and then a little bit of fresh parsley, too. It's my Cajun shrimp casserole recipe.